In Canada, our justice system is known to have many flaws. We will be reenacting two completely different trials to demonstrate. In the first trial, Dean Robert Zimmerman is accused of raping and torturing his wife and two other women and serving little jail time. The second trial, Robert Latimer, who put his 12-year-old daughter with cerebral palsy out of her misery, was sentenced to prison.
The Zimmerman case will now come to order.
Mr. Zimmerman, did you or did you not brutally rape and torture your pregnant wife in an attack that lasted over 48 hours?
Yes, I did.
And were you not already out on parole for the rape of a 19-year-old woman earlier on?
Yes, I was. I sentenced you to 6 years in federal prison with no chance of parole. Even though Dean Zimmerman was sentenced to 6 years with no parole, he was given parole after serving less than 4 years in prison. The Zimmerman case is now reopened for the rape of a 24-year-old woman.
Mr. Zimmerman, did you commit a 9-hour sexual assault and torture session involving a toilet plunger on this young woman?
I plead guilty to sexual assault involving a weapon and forcible confinement.
I sentence you to 40 months in federal prison.
In September 2009, Zimmerman was released after serving less than 8 years total in what should have been a minimum 12-year sentence. The National Parole Board describes him as a psychopath who is lacking remorse and empathy and whose violence towards women is escalating to a deadly level. Just last year, they wrote that if released, there's a likelihood that he would commit an offense causing serious harm or death. And so they released him, and now he's skipped out on parole and is on the run.
The Robert Latimer trial is now in session.
Mr. Latimer, you are accused of murdering your own daughter. Can you explain the circumstances?
She had been diagnosed with cerebral palsy and would never have the mental capability of more than a 4-month-old baby. She was miserable in the life she was living, constantly in pain, and the doctors wouldn't do anything about it. All they prescribed her was Tylenol, saying that anything else would put her into a coma. She cried every day out of pain. I could not bear it anymore.
Do you believe that what you did was the right choice?
I truly believe that it was the best for all of us. We were all miserable in the life that we were living. Watching her go through what she did and the other children having all the attention taken away from them.
I sentence you to 10 years in jail with second-degree murder. The father had chosen the most painless way he could think of to end his daughter's pain. He had placed her in his truck and attached a hose from the exhaust pipe to the inside of the truck and turned it on, thus killing her from carbon dioxide poisoning. A neighbor who talked to the media had said that the parents were taking turns lying with her at night, turning her often, trying to make her cease the endless, pitiful crying, trying their best to make her a little more comfortable. Even though he did the humane thing by putting his daughter out of misery, he was given a tough sentence, while there are other people out there like Dean Zimmerman who permanently scar young women and get away almost scotch-free.
If you are sentenced to prison in Canada, you can be sure that you're rightfully placed. Canada has a very low rate of the innocent being put in jail, but for what price? The convicted are let on bail and parole, even though it was determined that they would not be eligible, and then let out several years early. Even when it comes to life in prison, that's a maximum of 25 years in Canada, and most get let out before on good behavior.
Another common criticism is that the sentences are too lenient in the first place. There are so many factors put into each trial case, and it takes so long to even get a trial started that most people have forgotten by the time the trial actually rolls around. A local case, for example, is that of Shannon Raymond. Her death occurred in 2008, but the trial is only now set to begin 4 years later.
When it comes to crime and punishment in Canada, most people get very frustrated when convicted criminals serve little or none of the jail time to which they are sentenced. Although there are flaws in the Canadian system, in the long run, at least we have one.